Thanks for having us on, Steve. We're just... I was quite heavily involved with the Southend Fan Protest Group. So we organised sort of all of the marches with the banners and the float down Victoria Avenue and the tennis balls and all that. So it's sort of for the first time one of us able to come on and sort of really talk about our position. Now Ron Martin's gone without fear of sort of an arbitrary stadium ban, which is quite nice. I just wanted to sort of come on and share our thoughts as a group. We're obviously enormously relieved that the deal's gone through. The embargo being lifted is obviously the main factor. We've sort of forgotten how it feels to sign a player. So we're sort of all quite looking forward to the excitement of that, to see who comes in to strengthen a squad that is already sort of, as we've seen, more than capable of challenging the top teams. The atmosphere around the club and sort of where we see it going at the moment is one of, I would go as far as say jubilation. It's great to finally be able to just go to the football and watch the football.
Do you feel as though some of your protests, though, Tom, that you were involved in, including the throwing the tennis balls on the pitch and several other things that you did, do you feel that put weight behind what was happening, or do you think it would have happened anyway?
Obviously we certainly like to think so. It's one of them things. I'll always be open to interpretation. We have had sources that have been sort of very close to the Martin family tell us firsthand that the protests, especially the ones outside his house, really did sort of spur him on to get the deal done. So we've hoped that's the case. But I mean, we were never in it for sort of recognition or anything like that. That's one of the reasons none of us ever put our names to it while we were doing it. We just wanted it to be a movement of fans for fans, essentially.
So you put your head above the parapet now, then, Tom. And I mean, how do you feel about Ron Martin now that the deal has been done? I mean, there's talk of him being banned from watching any games, for example, in the future. I mean, are you for that, or do you think it's time to draw a veil over this now? The thing's been sold. Let's move on.
No, I'm absolutely for that. I mean, there is an argument to say that Ron Martin's very presence at Roots Hall does nothing but stoke up tensions and, could potentially lead to confrontation and all that sort of thing. And we know that stadium bans have been handed out for far more arbitrary reasons than that. For example, I know of one case where someone was accused of encroaching on the pitch at an away game, was never prosecuted for it, never had any sort of official record for it, but was then banned from all future home games from what we can tell, purely because of his quite vocal opposition to the Martin stewardship. So there's been more arbitrary stadium bans, but I think this one genuinely would be for the benefit of the team, the atmosphere around the stadium, and the club and the fan base as a whole.
What about the future then? We just heard Nick Alliker talking to us about the state of the stadium. It looks though as now Roots Hall is going to be the permanent home, certainly for the foreseeable future. But there isn't that much room for expansion. Nick was talking about just maybe the main stand being improved.
Yeah, I mean, I for one, it's a divisive issue amongst Southend fans, and I for one, I'm delighted we're staying at Roots Hall. It's our home. I'd hate to have seen us moved out of the town centre all the way up to Fossett's Farm. Obviously, it needs a lot of work doing on it. Before we even think about expansion, to even just bring it up to standard, there's a lot of bits need doing around the ground to, in terms of health and safety, like the toilets, for example, and a lot of structural issues. But I don't doubt that the consortium coming in have got the will and the money to do that. We're just in terms of the future, we're cautiously optimistic. I would say at the moment is the point. We're obviously delighted the consortium have come in and they've been essentially keeping the club afloat for the last couple of months, from what we hear, paying wages, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, we're all sort of aware that these are business people who now have access to an asset, and could sort of potentially seek to, seek planning permission for further development, and what that development is, would be a matter for future discussion. We're quite weary about the fact that fan shareholding has been diluted to the extent it has. Obviously, that's moving in the opposite direction to the direction we were originally seeking to move in, which was one towards fan ownership. But hopefully, once this event that they're doing at the Cliffs with the consortium happens, they'll be able to sort of put forward their case. We'll know exactly where we stand, and we can sort of start pulling in the same direction, hopefully, with far greater fan involvement than there has been in recent years under Ron Martin.
Tom, great to talk to you. Thank you for phoning in.